Good morning, everybody. I will try and keep this video as short as I possibly can. It's still going to be a few minutes long, but I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible. So let's get started. What are we talking about today? We are talking about intersectionality, and we are going to talk about intersectionality in Raisin in the Sun. Now, first of all, a little disclaimer. If you really want to know what intersectionality is and really want to learn about this term and about the concept behind this, you will have to do some of your own research, because I'm barely going to scratch the surface of this concept in today's video. However, I'm going to try and explain it to you as good as I can in a video that I can cut and edit and in as little time as possible. So, intersectionality, what are we talking about? Basically, to intersect means that two things overlap, and that is also kind of what is happening here in intersectionality. In intersectionality, we are talking about different forms of discrimination and how they interact with one another. So you have different discriminations that you have to, different forms of discrimination that you have to face if you are not, say, just black or just a woman. I'm obviously using any kind of discrimination here in quotation marks. As we've talked about it, most of these categories are social constructs, which doesn't make it less important, obviously, to talk about them, but we have to keep in mind that they are constructs. So, intersectionality says that you are not just black and just a woman, but if you are a black woman, these two forms of discrimination interact with one another. So it's not possible to add the discrimination against black people and the discrimination against women, but you have to look at how these kinds of discriminations interact with one another, how they intersect, how they play into each other. Let me give you an example from Raisin in the Sun, and I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible. Hopefully you all remember the scene where Benita chooses to change her hair. Now, this is a perfect example for intersectional discrimination, or to show this kind of discrimination. Let me tell you why. First of all, Benita is a person of color, black woman. So she faces specific parts of discrimination. She is discriminated against concerning housing and her clothing and the way she talks and so on and so forth. And she's also being discriminated against or policed in terms of being female. So she has the ideal that she kind of has to fulfill, which is a white middle-class woman. We've talked about that in last week's video already, but this is going to come to play today again. So, a white middle-class woman in the 1950s, if you want to have kind of an idea how she looked. So basically she was wearing an apron, she was wearing a skirt or a dress, and she was wearing her hair in curls. So she had like nicely done longer hair, presumably white, not white, blonde, or at least as light as possible. Bleaching was not yet super trendy, but was already on the rise, so everybody tried to be as blonde as possible. Now, obviously, for Benita, that's kind of a problem, her being a black woman. However, she did what most black women did. Oh, say hello to Bugaloot, my little cat. She did what most black women did in these times, which was straightening her hair. So what this means is basically she put chemicals in her hair to change the texture from her hair being super curly and when growing, building up to be an afro. She put chemicals in so she had the hair as flat as possible and as little wavy as possible, or as little curly as possible. Um, when she decides to stop that and shave off her hair, we see that she breaks with the idea of this white middle class woman. At the same time, this kind of discrimination because of hair is nothing that her male counterparts have to face. We don't learn about the haircut of Walt Lee or his son or George or other guy. All of them just have hair, but we don't learn too much about it being super short or anything like that, because it was obvious for the author. Men in these times, as many men nowadays, had super short hair, and therefore it was rather easy for black men to, at least when looking at their hair, pass as white. So they could get basically the same haircuts as white dudes got in these times. However, for black women, it was different. It wasn't possible to get these kind of haircuts. So it was an act of rebellion of Benita to change her haircut. If you are interested in the idea of hair and the importance of hair in the African American community, I'm going to link a documentary in the comments. I hope I'm going to find it, and it deals with exactly that topic. So with black hair and the importance of hair for black people. Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to keep this video under 10 minutes, so I'm going to cut it short by now. I hope that you have kind of an idea what I've been rambling about for the last nearly 8 minutes. Now, your task of me is on roughly two pages. I want you to tell me how intersectionality is important for our play. I wanted you to do basically what I did in this video, but a bit more in depth and written. So please tell me how you understand intersectionality. And as I said, it might be helpful to do some research, some further research, because I don't claim to know anything. I know bits and pieces, and I think I know a bit about intersectionality, but then again, I don't say I've understood everything about it. So if you have any questions, you can ask me, obviously, but you can also do your own research and find out about this term. And of course, I want you to also tell me how intersectionality is important in our play, and how different sorts of discriminations work together. Another hint for that, maybe you want to have a look at class as well, because class is also a form of discrimination. It's called classicism, which means that people from, very shortly put, people from the working class are not able to achieve as much as people from middle class or upper middle class. Okay, to stay under 10 minutes, I wish you a nice week and hope to see you soon. Bye!